Lindenhurst is a village of 27,000 on the south shore of Long Island, New York. These are the people who grew up there and their stories. Everyone I know is from Lindenhurst. I'm watching the world burn in real time right now.
All of us are, man. All of us are.
So this is like
Caring.
the first time you're able to vote, right?
Yes. Yeah. Legally,
That's
it's the first time I'm able to vote. Yeah.
that's wild.
Yeah. I voted earlier today at Daniel Street. Daniel Street
Very
Elementary School.
nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're still in Lindy
Yes.
currently.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
All three of us at the moment.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Nice.
I voted at Albany earlier today.
Nice. You guys
I
are
voted
born
at the
in Lindy?
firehouse.
That's
Ooh,
cool. Were you guys
fancy.
born in Lindenhurst or you guys
I
Yeah,
was
just
both
not.
grew
I
up here.
moved to. I
So,
I moved here in first grade, not born here, but
gotcha.
that guy was born here.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I moved here around like third or yeah, it was third grade. I moved here around third grade. So,
okay. So give us a little background on that, like your family roots here and how you ended up here.
well, I had a bunch of family that was previously on Long Island, and my direct family, like my mom and dad and such. We figured it was just best to come out here. We were out in Staten Island for when my young childhood, and then as I grew up a little bit, around probably around 7 or 8 years old, we came out here to be with some other family members, and Long Island's great, man. It's awesome.
Okay, so what part of town?
By Daniel Street, by the Sunrise Highway.
Okay, so you went to Daniel Street. When
Yes.
you came here, you went to Daniel Street
Yeah.
Elementary.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are some of your first memories of just being here and like in school and like what were you getting into as far as activities?
I think Daniel Street was such a welcoming environment. It was a lot of great people, and I think there was a lot of hospitality amongst the younger people living here as well, the other students. I went to a Catholic school previously when I lived in Staten Island, so this was my first public school like experience, and it was so unique and it was so awesome. And going to a Catholic school also was like it put me 10 years behind everyone else who was in public school. So, a lot of
I
what
had that same problem. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, when I transitioned to public school, it was like, whoa, this is like 10 years forward. I went from like 2001 to 2011 or to whatever it was, 2012, in that move. So it was really interesting. The people, again, a lot more hospitality there. And I just had a better time socially.
Yeah, it's interesting. Catholic school is a different type of crowdfunding, I guess. It's not
Yeah.
it's not tax funded. It's
Yeah. It's private.
yeah.
So,
So okay. And so what did you have an early interest? Like were you watching a lot of TV and movies and whatnot as a kid?
yeah, my parents, I really loved like professional wrestling, and that is sort of like theatrical in a way. It's sort of like it's like physical theater essentially. It's like combat theater. But I always took a profound interest in like cameras and recording my friends and recording my family. And I actually got in trouble at school a few times for bringing a camera and recording people playing around and role playing and that sort of thing. And I just took a profound interest in wanting to tell stories with a camera. So yeah, that was sort of my gateway into filmmaking.
You and John could be best friends right now.
Oh my
Awesome.
God, yeah,
Awesome.
huge, huge. So what era of wrestling are you talking about?
I really see. I loved like the Attitude Era, but I especially loved like the Ruthless Aggression. But me,
Gotcha.
be,
So
me
right
being a
after
bit
then.
younger, yeah, me being a bit
Yeah,
younger,
yeah.
I had to like go back and watch reruns of that. But
Uh-huh.
I really at my age, I was into like the PG era, like John Cena and early CM
Gotcha.
Punk and that sort of thing. So.
Well, they're all wrestling now. If you don't still watch, so
Yeah, I've kept up with it. I fell out of it for a really long time, but probably within the past two
Stan,
years or so, I got back into it.
it's gotten everyone back somehow,
Yeah, absolutely. I think Vince McMahon leaving the company probably got everyone back into
right?
it. Yeah,
That's a big part of it for
yeah,
sure.
Okay, so you were kind of had the filmmaking bug from the start, it
yeah,
seems.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, filmmaking, I think it's a really humane way of expression, and it's just to me filmmaking, right? It's a visual painting, right? We can paint so many images through expression, through the visuals, through the camera, through the performer, and I really just, I've always took a profound interest in wanting to tell stories and record that and capture that.
And so in elementary school, that early, were there other kids like that you could bond with over that?
Yeah, actually, surprisingly, my best
Yeah.
friend Brandon, I've been friends with him since he was my first friend when I came to Daniel Street in fourth grade. And he's been with me for every step of the way. And he helped me make this feature film, Edge X, which I'm on here to talk about. But he's been with me since the very start of fourth grade. So that's one person that I can account for from my young childhood.
And your family were supportive of it from the beginning?
Yeah, I mean, it took a lot of trial and error, being young, and I think I'm a rather ambitious person in a lot of different aspects. So it took a lot of different things to try, and figure out. And I think that's really a lot of young people is, they try a lot of different things. And, I mean, everyone I think wants to be like an astronaut or a baseball player. I think that's always going to be the common trait of young men. But I mean, as I got older, like really once I got into like high school and like COVID happened and I was kind of stuck at home, that's when I was like, okay, this is what I'm kind of decent at, and this is what I actually want to pursue. So let me just pour
Yeah.
everything I got into that.
So was it just you growing up, or do you have any siblings?
I have a little sister. She grew up here as well. She went to Daniel Street, and she's still in the Lindenhurst educational system. So,
Okay.
yeah,
And as far as like, so I also went to Catholic school up until high school, and then I
nice,
went to Lindenhurst.
cool.
But this is back in like the dark ages when we were still using like VHS tape
Yeah,
and like the two VCRs to edit
yeah, yeah.
type of thing. So like, were there
Mhm.
any like classes or like after school kind of activities you could do that would get your feet wet as far as that type of thing?
So I never really, no, I never really took any sort of activity that involved filmmaking from school. Really, I worked on machinimas, which is this sort of niche form of filmmaking made through like animation, and it comes from like a video game engine. It's quite geeky,
Uh,
but it essentially it's just a niche form of animation, and that's sort of where I got my feet wet per se in filmmaking, and that's kind of how I learned the basics of shot composition and editing and that sort of thing. And for a while, I was editing on like my old iPhone 6S Plus, and yeah, I just continually just tried to learn and grasp more and more every time I did it. So,
and so looking at your YouTube channel right here,
sure.
you had a few shorts that you put out
Yeah.
before the movie.
Mm.
You had a few that were like set to music. There's a Deftones video. There's
Yeah,
Lana Del Rey.
yeah, yeah.
Can you tell us a little about those and like
Yeah,
how those came
absolutely.
about?
I think that in any way I can express myself through film. That's what I want to pursue. And, I can't make a 2 hour movie every time I want to pick up my camera. I want to always try and engage in other aspects of filmmaking as well, even including to like photography as well. And so for me, I think, in making little shorts and specifically with those shorts, I'm a huge music fan and music is a huge influence on me and my work and the way I perceive art in general. I don't know. I just wanted to sort of make something cool to the backdrop of cool music that I liked, and
Hmm.
my friend Rachel, who starred in some of those shorts, she was incredible to work with, and she definitely was super, super into whatever concept I threw at her. So that also helps too, working with great people.
Some recognizable locations in those videos.
Yeah, we were all around the island for some of those shorts, I mean, we were at like Venetian Shore for one of those shorts, and you know, we were uh we were up near Garden City for one of them. So, all around the island really.
And those were still done while you were still in high school.
So some of those were done while I'm in high school. I'm about over a little over a year removed from high school. So some of those were, while I was in high school or the summer of me leaving high school. But all relatively within the past year and a half or so, and then I got to work on this feature film at Jax. So
So are you going to college now? Or
I'm not currently, I'm going to the School of Hard Knocks.
okay.
So, I mean, I'm just sort of taking everything at a one a day at a time and just trying to improve my craft, trying to learn and grasp as much information as I can.
So just keeping it in Lindenhurst, we'll definitely
Sure.
get to the movie because that's
Absolutely.
obviously what we're here
For
for.
sure.
I just wanted to know, like we usually ask, what were your first jobs, or did you have any jobs around town?
I worked at Jesus, I hope I don't get in trouble for saying this. I worked at Leslie's Pool Supplies, and
Okay.
my first
Nice.
summer there, yeah, on Sunrise Highway, that one.
Yeah, yeah.
My first summer working there, I worked with a lot of other. I mean, everyone, all the my coworkers were from like Lindenhurst High School, and it was awesome. It was really awesome. I had a lot of fun there. My second summer there, a lot of those people sort of aged out of that part-time seasonal job, and they moved on. They
Yeah.
got real jobs, whatever. And I didn't have such a good time there my second summer, so I eventually moved on from there, and just sort of now I just try and work around the Babylon Lindenhurst area. So yeah, Leslie's Pool Supplies.
Shout out Joe Camp, who managed Leslie's School Supplies 25 years ago or something like that.
Yeah, they switch managers every season.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Ed is now a high school teacher, right? So there
Yeah.
you
Nice. Congratulations.
go. Okay, so you're kind of doing the gap year or more right now.
Yeah, yeah, or more. Yeah, definitely emphasizing the or more part of that. I mean, I think to me, if I were to go to film school, and I've had a lot of conversation and thought over that, but I mean, a lot. What is derivative from film school can also be learned on your own, and it can be researched on your
Totally.
own, and you can meet a lot
Yeah.
of great people on your own. I think a lot of the benefit that comes from film school is the sort of the connection that comes from that, and even like the prestige around, the film school name that you went to. But I'm luckily surrounded by a lot of really wonderful, talented people that just want to make movies together, So I have a really solid group of people that we're just gonna go for it, man.
So as far as like finding people to star in your projects, is that obviously some local friends and whatnot,
Sure.
but did you reach out in any way anywhere else, like through social media or through other connections?
So with EdgeX, the audition process was really cool because we got to hold in-person auditions at Studio Theater on Wellwood, which is a really great place. I have some friends there. And a lot of the actors on the island are really connected. So if one actor hears about an audition, a lot of other actors are going to hear about it. And luckily I met a lot of really great actors that have previously, worked at Studio Theater, which is a place that I've really grown comfortable being at. So yeah, just really local actors that go to Studio Theater or South Shore Theater, and again, also being friends with like actors and musicians that also helps too.
Yeah, you had my friend Dina do the
Oh
soundtrack.
wow,
I
Jesus, wow,
yeah,
small world.
I
Wow,
worked with Dina a couple of times. She conducted a couple of musicals that I played drums
she's
in.
she's
So
great. Wow, Dina's awesome. That's really
incredible
cool.
piano player. Yeah,
Yes, I mean she's a prodigy, man. She's awesome. Yeah, she's
yeah,
great. Small world.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was excited when I saw her name on that. I was like,
That's
oh, know
crazy.
somebody.
Wow.
Okay, so the very beginning of this project,
Sure.
when was that, and how did getting it off the ground kind of
Yeah.
go for you?
Well, I started coming up with the concept for it when I was 17, when I was a junior at Lindenhurst High School, or a very early senior year of Lindenhurst High School. And, I mean, throughout my whole high school process, I was trying to make films and trying to make little short films and animation stuff and that sort of thing. And I really,
Mhm.
um, I really got my feet off the ground once I graduated high school, and I was able to sort of actually have time to myself and work on the movie. And that's when I really started developing the film, which was after my senior year, the summer after my senior year. And we started shooting the following fall, or that fall, I should say. And it was just it was a great process. So
And a pretty heavy subject matter,
yeah,
goes without saying.
Yeah.
absolutely.
That's what I was gonna say. For someone fresh out of high school to be making something like this, it's very, very heavy. But like we can't, help but mention like Lindenhurst and most places on Long Island, there are huge drug problems and
Yes,
places around there.
absolutely.
So how I mean, without giving too much away, and you don't have to talk about it if you don't want to. How much of this comes from something you may have lived or seen yourself
Sure.
versus like pure fiction?
I think that's a great question. Thank you for asking that. I think that, as you said, substance abuse and drugs, it's a very human, common problem amongst a
Yeah,
lot of different people across the country right now, and
yeah,
especially
Yeah.
in Long Island. And I think that my personal connection to the story is that I am unfortunately in a generation of people that are often plagued by substance abuse, and it's super easy to come by that, to come by substance. And I think a lot of the characters in the film are sort of inspired and based off of certain individuals who I've come across and just have found so interesting. And I really wanted to make this personal and intimate tale of substance abuse. I also think that a
Yeah.
lot of the viewpoints that some of the characters share in the film about themselves are maybe certain things that I've shared previously about myself or
Yeah.
about others. So,
Yeah, it's interesting. Like us growing up in the 90s, like obviously there was a problem then.
hmm
It came more from partying. And I think
hmm
this current generation, like there's a lot of, I don't want to like be the Mr. Anti-big pharma guy, but a lot of that sparks addiction in a way, and then
yeah,
people take to the streets.
absolutely.
Whereas like maybe when we were teenagers, it was more like, hey, I go to raves and this is just what I do. And
Yeah, I completely agree. I
we've
think
we've seen this cycle like start over again though, like
it's
it's
so
lapped
for
itself
sure,
unfortunate.
now.
yeah.
It's so unfortunate.
Yeah.
It's scary. It's really a scary world to be in as of now. And maybe it's
Hmm.
always been that way. Maybe, ask anyone, it's always been that way. But I think especially now, everyone is so connected to some form of substance. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be the likes of heroin or cocaine, which
Right.
is some of the stuff
Yeah.
we
Hmm.
see in the film. It could be, our smartphone, our social media,
Uh-huh.
our need for validation and that sort of thing. So it's a troubling world right now.
Yeah, whereas before social media or smartphones, you had to go searching for that
Yeah.
elsewhere, and maybe more in person than not.
Yeah,
We're
But
all
absolutely.
looking
it
for
ended up the
yeah.
same way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're all looking for the next dopamine fix, whatever brings that.
It's so scary. You're completely right about
Uh-huh.
that. And especially short form content on social media. It's not talked about enough. Not
Yeah.
only is social media such a difficult thing to process, but also now we have short form content, which it tricks our brains into wanting more, and we just scroll and scroll and scroll. And
Hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
a victim of that. I mean, everyone is at this point. It's scary.
Yeah. It's by design. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think
It's
people your
crazy.
age are much more aware of it. We
Yes.
were kind of blindsided by it, being
Yeah,
like
yeah.
seeing as we grew up without it, and then like it just hit us in our 20s.
But
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think the younger generation is like adept at it and like can
hmm
maneuver it in a way where I'm
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
this is like a shirt that doesn't fit me or
hmm
something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So a little personal experience, a little fiction,
Sure.
let's say.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a very
Yeah.
human, I'm sorry, it's a very human story. That was really what I wanted to convey. It doesn't have to be specific to anyone. However, if someone
Yeah.
can watch it and relate to it or know someone that they see in the film, that's what we wanted.
And I know David Lynch is a big influence for you, I
Yeah,
think.
yes,
And
yeah.
okay, he said in one of his books that you really don't have to suffer to make your art. You can make your character suffer.
Absolutely. The
Yeah.
characters in EdgeX certainly suffer a lot, but
Yes.
Yeah.
But you
uh
don't have to be the one suffering through them.
yeah.
You just,
Yeah,
yeah.
well, for me with that process, I act in the film and I play one of the antagonists in the film, and that was such a really disgusting and troubling person to capture and to think about and to have in my head during that process. So not only did I have to go to set and act that out certain days, but then I'd have to go home and look at that and watch it over and over and over and put that
Yeah.
together. And that was very mentally draining. But regardless, though, I mean, I've had a lot of great conversations with some of the other cast members, and all of these characters are troubling. All of these characters are troubled. So,
Yeah.
it's just about moving forward and leaving the character on set.
Right. And you had to, as an actor in the film, you had to wear two different hats, basically. You had to direct and
Yeah,
act.
yeah.
Was that really stressful at times?
Very,
Yeah.
very, especially when you're working with a lot of other young people who maybe like to mess around a little bit too much sometimes.
Yeah.
You kind of got to play bad cop sometimes. And being a young person myself, it's not always the easiest thing. But I also, again, I worked with such a fantastic group of other young people, and I really could not have asked for a better group of people to work with. And so they made my job a lot easier, being able to act and direct at the same time. So yeah, just the people I had around me made that a little bit easier than what you think it might be.
Yeah, and it looks great.
Thank you.
So just tell us a little bit about the equipment, how you acquired it, and what was the learning curve like using it?
Yeah, so I worked with a Canon R6 Mark II, and I shot on two lenses, mainly a 24 through 105 millimeter lens, and then a 50 millimeter prime lens. So only two lenses and one camera. And equipment, we use quite a good assortment of lights. I think lighting is really important, especially for a
Yeah,
predominantly no budget film. I think lighting is very important, and we've received a lot of great words on our lighting, so that's always cool. But I mean, the equipment process was, I mean, it was a little stressful at first because it's like, okay, well, we want to make a 2 hour movie and we can't make this look like shit.
yeah.
And so, my first conversation with Cadence and Randall, who play the two leads in the movie, my first conversation with them, I said to them, I was like, hey, I want to make this film, but I also want to make a film that maybe doesn't seem like it was made by teenagers. I think more often than not, there are a lot of films that are made by people my age that, I mean, maybe don't look that strong, and that's not what I wanted because I feel like I had a quite a bit to prove with this, especially having not gone to film school. I really wanted to make something that could hold up pretty decently well.
Cool. And obviously shot all over our area.
Yeah.
Um, what are some of the locations and like how did you go about scouting them
So
as far as
honestly,
did
yeah.
you have any locations in mind while you were writing
Yes, yes,
the
I did.
movie? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
we also had a lot of help from friends and moms and that sort of thing, just asking around saying, "Hey, can we shoot in your room? Can we shoot in this house
Yeah.
or whatever?" So the biggest struggle with filming, like was probably the weather because we filmed it from November through like early February. So
Okay.
that was like the prime months of New York cold, and it was hard. That was probably the
Yeah.
biggest struggle all of us encountered was the weather.
So from start to finish, how long was the process and then, from editing until now?
So I started scripting the film while I was working on this gothic horror short film called Headstone of Solitude. So I was
Yes, which we didn't mention either. That's
that's
also
okay. Yeah.
was released
Yes.
on
Yeah.
your YouTube.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think that was a more amateur push at things. I think EdgeX was my first professional push at filmmaking, which was cool. But relating back to the process and the duration of that, I started scripting EdgeX while I was in post-production on my short film Headstone of Solitude. And scripting probably took about 2 months, because the way I script is that I like to let things sort of marinate in my mind for a while before I put it down on paper. So by the time I do get to writing it, I kind of know a lot about these characters and a lot about the story that I want to write. So it's
Mhm.
relatively easier for me to do so. So that was probably about a month or two process, and then we started rehearsing. We started casting in September, I should say, and then we started rehearsing by October, and we rehearsed for over a month straight, every day rehearsing. We rehearsed uh, quite rigorously, and
Okay.
that really helped out, especially because a lot of younger actors were involved, and rehearsing
Right.
was really just a great thing to do. And then that was about a month, and then shooting was about 3 months, 2.5 months. So all in all, probably just close to a 6 month process, I'd say. And post production took another 2 months. So yeah,
And yeah, actors who were generally used to acting on the stage as opposed
yes,
to the screen.
yes.
So there was a bit of an adjustment there, I'm
There
sure.
was, yeah, there was
Yeah.
quite an adjustment there, but I think it worked out well, and I think the actors trusted me and trusted each other and trusted what we were doing. From the start, we casted people who didn't just think the idea of doing a movie was cool. We casted people who really seemed to believe in the idea of what we were doing specifically with this film and this material, and they really, connected to the story because again, it's such a human experience, and there's so many human ideas in this film. And I think most of us can pick at least one character in the movie that resembles someone that any of us could know, or even ourselves. So a lot of the characters were, a lot of the actors were so connected to these characters, and that also made the process a lot
Yeah.
easier. Yeah.
And I know you mentioned Requiem for a Dream, obviously a
Yeah.
big influence on the film.
Great movie. Yeah.
Any other movies and or directors that you had in mind
I'm a
as you were
huge
doing it?
Darren Aronofsky fan in general, the director of Requiem for a Dream. I'm a huge fan of his work.
Yeah.
I love The Wrestler. Black Swan is awesome. Pi is great. You know,
Yep.
I had someone tell me, someone after they saw Headstone of Solitude, before they even knew about EdgeX, they saw Headstone of Solitude and they were like, "Hey, man, you know this movie that you made, it really reminded me of Pi. If you've ever seen that." I was like, "Fuck yeah, I love Pi." I love Aronofsky's work. I also love Sean Baker. Sean Baker's awesome. I love the Safdie brothers. They're great. So, I mean, obviously, I can appreciate a lot of different eras of cinema and a lot of different directors across the genre, but um, relating to directors who are more modern and sort of a part of my generation, I'd say like Sean Baker and the Safdie brothers are probably some of my biggest influences.
Okay. So you're about to release the thing.
Yeah.
You're submitting it to festivals and all that.
Yeah, I mean it ran through a couple festivals around September and August and that sort of thing. It was at the this Jupiter Project, which is this really cool artist collective. It was at their festival screening in July or August, and then we were at the Cinema Arts Center in September for the Long Island Youth Film Festival, which was really awesome.
Oh, cool.
And we also screened at the Art is Alive Film Festival, which was held in Manhattan in September. So a couple really cool festivals and met some great people, so
And yeah, as far as I know on your YouTube, you read some of the reactions to your short film from Letterboxd.
yeah.
I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
what's the reception been like for EdgeX so far?
So um there's been I think a quite a contrast from Headstone of Solitude to Edge X, and I mean when I was making Headstone of Solitude, I think that was a film that was really gonna, I knew that was a film that was gonna sort of divide people because not everyone is into sort of this Lynchian experimental nonsense, as they may put it, but some people are
Yeah.
into it. So there was a really good reception, and then some people just kind of weren't really into it, but that's okay. But EdgeX, I think that definitely strays away from the experimental Lynchian side of things that I worked on with Headstone of Solitude. And the reception at EdgeX has been really beautiful. It's been overwhelming, to have been able to make something that has been able to evoke such emotional reactions from people. It's really wonderful. It's beautiful. It's overwhelming. So many great things. So many great people have reacted to it and expressed their feelings about it. And again, making EdgeX was my attempt at hoping to provide a feeling to people. Provide maybe some light to people. So
And yeah, this Friday, big premiere at the Sayville Theater
yeah, yeah,
going on. We'll have the
it's
episode out
exciting.
that morning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So yeah, since this is a Lindenhurst podcast, we're going to bring it back to here. And I'm sure while you guys were shooting, you guys were eating and drinking around town. So,
A little bit,
I,
yeah.
or ordering out or whatever it
Sure,
is.
yeah, yeah.
But we just want to know a little bit about like your favorite stuff around Lindenhurst. We usually do a best and worst of the Hearst at the end of our
Sure,
podcast, just asking you about specific things that you like in
sure.
town.
Shout out to Good Times Pub. That's a really cool place.
Okay.
Good Times Bar is really cool. Thai Basil on Wellwood's really great. That gets the big
Right
thumbs
on.
up. Mr. G's was really good. We were getting some late night Mr. G's whenever we had an off day and we are all hanging out. So Mr. G's, Thai Basil, Good Times Pub. Trying to think
Okay.
what else. Ruby Soho's is really great. We had a few meetings there in pre-production. Restoration Kitchen was really good. It's pretty close to my house. That's a great place too. We also had some meetings there as well.
My other question to you that I want to start throwing out to people. We always end up talking to people about how, Lindenhurst High School seems to offer a lot of fun, like elective courses.
Hmm.
that you could have taken there. What was your favorite elective course that you took at the high school?
Favorite elective course? I got to think about that because for me, I just tried taking whatever like college level courses that would weigh down my GPA as much as possible. So I didn't really get the
Gotcha.
fun. I didn't get the fun stuff. I mostly just picked like
Okay.
business, academic stuff. But if I had to pick a favorite class in general, I'd pick probably AP Literature. I had a really great teacher.
Okay.
Shout out to Dr.
Okay.
Fox.
And did you do any theater in school at all?
No, I didn't. No, I
No.
wasn't. I mean, I love acting. I love the art of performance and that sort of thing. But I wasn't a theater kid. I kind of just I was really just into my grades and academics and getting
You
the
just you
yeah
employ theater kids now.
yeah. I work with a lot of theater
Gotcha.
kids, but I was never a theater kid now.
So yeah, just let everyone know where they can find your existing stuff online and
Sure.
where they can find information about EdgeX.
Yeah, well, everyone can check out Sid Cinematics on Instagram as well as EdgeX Film on Instagram. Uh, EdgeX is also available on Letterboxd as well. And you can also check out some of my other work on YouTube at Sid Cinematics. I'm also a photographer as well. You can find some of my photography work on Instagram. Also, check out the Lindenhurst podcast on Instagram as well.
Oh, hey.
Yeah,
So we're going to leave you with our closing question then.
sure.
If you could describe Lindenhurst to someone who's never been here, what would you tell them?
Oh man, I gotta think about that for a second. Um, One word is difficult. If I had to pick one word, I'd have to cop out.
Doesn't have to be one word,
Yeah,
you know.
okay. I'd say Lindenhurst is an interesting place. First and foremost, it's very interesting. But aside from that, there are a lot of great people and a lot of great opportunities in Lindenhurst for a wide variety of musicians and restaurants and like barbers and so many great different types of little jobs here in our little town. And it's a great place to be on the South Shore.
There it is.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming on,
Thank you
man.
guys so much for having me. Yeah, I hope to see you guys
Yeah,
at the
man.
Sable screening if you're free. Thank you guys so much again.
Yeah, I'm going to try to make it down. And
Awesome.
yeah,
Thank you,
best
man.
of luck with the
Yeah,
film. It's
thank you
great.
guys. Thank you guys so much. Hopefully we'll do this again in the future.
Long live the bench.